After hiding out in my tool shed during the Fort Hood mass shootings, getting shot at various times while in an Apache helicopter in Iraq, different times we saw flashes of lights coming from the ground, looked like fire, and different times we circled back for practice and otherwise to fire back. Probably the scariest thing I've done is jump out of a perfectly good airplane with my brother Joe. I want my body to always be like my Bentley GT Continental. I feel like cholesterol-free vegan food is like premium fuel. It's important to me, too, that my mind be very often running on all 12 cylinders despite my emotional, cognitive disability, post-war stress. I hope this business plan can give hope to others suffering from mental, emotional health issues. And I was brainstorming here on what is something that my brother Joe and I could hand off to Sohy and Suhan, or his two sons, or any of his future children, maybe with Sakang's cousin Srehiat. And the only thing that really comes to mind that I believe in, truly believe in, is having visited the Science Museum in Kuala Lumpur and looking at their aerospace, the history of aerospace exhibit, and sort of cross-referencing that with Burt Rutan's TED Talk in 2005. Burt Rutan helped Richard Branson develop Virgin Galactic, and in his 2000 TED Talk, he was making fun of the government for not having a great safety records. And then tragically and ironically, one of Virgin Galactic's ships went down and crashed. And so it's kind of like back to square one or zero. The way I look at it is we're here now here, nowhere. And there are multiple unknown unknowns and paradoxes on the path towards a sort of ultimate destination, or multiple North Stars. And business is about providing a product and service that is really wanted and better than what currently exists. And a lot of times you might have to go backwards in one area and then forwards in maybe 20 other areas. So just like the Hindenburg was developed in around, I think, like 1880, roughly 140 years ago, by a German engineering company, in many ways, it's far superior than anything that exists now. It's like a sky cruise. It was very slow, but it had movie theater, restaurants, sleeping quarters. So it's not quite like the Concorde, which breaks the sound barrier, or private jets, or all these other things that use fossil fuels. The only thing that I can think of in terms of creating an international air taxi service using balloons, zero emissions, all electric, non-flammable anything, is, from personal experience, I know that still 50 to 80% of the world is terrified of flying. And even being in Apache helicopters, I was terrified that they were going to crash. And they're constantly crashing. I'm reusing the reasonable person standard, 85% certain. We were shot at while in the helicopters. And so fear of flying is probably the most significant thing in the world. So I was brainstorming and I thought, to help international air travel double 100% every 20 years, which is a good thing, in the context of United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 13, climate action, number 14, life above land, life below the sea, and then thinking about some of the vegan advocates, especially some of the young women who will not step onto an airplane because they believe it is a major contributing factor to global warming. Thinking about that, I thought, how could I help them and their kids travel around more internationally? And I thought, what's missing, that we could fix in the future? And I thought, well, if we build ships like sky cruise ships for 2 to 3 day family trips, which had showers, medical facilities on board, and other things similar to like cruise ships. You have to have a medical facility if you're going to put people for 2 to 3 days or more. And how can we make it 99% safer than airplanes? Nothing flammable, has glide mode, it's cheaper, it has parachutes, has escape pods, it traces the routes of ships or military ships in the ocean. Because different times I've been in the middle of the Atlantic in an airplane, I thought, if somehow the pilot could crash land us on the water, I'll probably freeze to death before any ship could ever get to us. And that's just kind of accepted that when airplanes go down, everybody dies. And I thought a business model could be similar to the military or the space, is having the most test pilots and crash test this. So like if Burt Rutan would have constantly crash tested the ships to where it's basically like, look, everything could go wrong. It's Apollo 13. The most craziest things can all go wrong. We've, rapid prototype this. That could be the selling point. Like people get on them because they know if virtually everything in the world goes wrong, it's not like everybody dies in one giant bus. It's a really scary thing, even though airplanes are much, much safer than driving a car, it's still so shocking when one goes down, like everybody dies, that it's sort of like a symbolic political thing. Like it's so symbolic that it's terrifying. And so I wouldn't underestimate that as the main premise of a business idea for aerospace, innovative aerospace solutions, is basically, look, Burt Rutan makes fun of the government for having a terrible safety record. Virgin Galactic ship crashes, burns. Sad. Airplanes go down, everybody dies, or everybody goes missing in the ocean, like the Malaysian flight. So sad. Lots of people won't step on airplanes because they believe it contributes to global warming. So true. A lot of people don't like getting on airplanes because it's not comfortable. What if you put movie theaters, bigger seats? Everybody is basically riding first class. It's cheapest, the safest. And having been somebody who has been around the poorest people in the world in Cambodia and has taken ships from Batam Island in Indonesia to Jakarta on the cheapest, slowest ships, I can tell you, poor people are willing to spend 2-3 days or even 7 days if the ticket is a half or third as much. I remember with my first wife taking a Greyhound bus because it was $70 versus $140 to fly. Flying took 2 hours, the Greyhound bus took 30 hours, but we literally didn't have the extra $70. So when I was looking at the Hindenburg, which sadly burnt, everybody died, I thought, this is probably what's going to exist in the future, where only military will have these, fossil fuel ships or planes that can move really, really fast. And then everybody else, more or less, take a ship, it's safe, or take an airship, which will get you there maybe twice as fast, also pretty slow, but just as safe, maybe even safer. And then, poor people aren't worried that because they're poor, their lives don't have any real value, and if they all die, nobody cares. That part of the equation is not non-existent, because poor people intuitively know that they're second, third, fourth class citizens. Even though, if you said that to their face, they would put a knife up to your neck and tell you to say you're sorry. But if somebody actually looked out for them and cared about them, even half cared about them, it might become the world's most successful aerospace company of all time. And not to go head to head with Boeing or Airbus, but to basically help them evolve in that direction too. Everybody wins. And it's like Elon Musk says, is find the utility function. Find something that's fundamentally needed and people are willing to pay money for. That's just overall a really, really good thing.